Well, hi everyone. This is Naomi Tucker. How are you? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to September's book club. And we are excited to have this discussion about how to build successful teams, highly successful teams. And we're adapting this from the book called The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. Now, I'm hoping that several of you have decided to pick up this book and decided to read it. It did have some really nice, healthy nuggets in there for helping you with your teams. If you did not read the book, it is absolutely okay. You can join us for the conversation, join for the tips, and just be a part of this discussion. Definitely welcome you here. So before I forget, I wanted to make sure that you know how to follow Planners on Purpose and a little bit about Planners on Purpose. It's all about empowering you to stress less and live more through an intentional journey of self-discovery. And it's really about learning and then putting that learning into action with your events and with your personal lives. So I'm here to help you do that as your burnout productivity coach, and I am excited to be here. So I wanted to share with you how you can follow us or follow me at Planners on Purpose. So I will go ahead and do that so that you're able to see it. All right, I'm getting a nice little thumbs up from my crew over here, who happens to be my husband, that I am sounding okay and I'm good to go. So I'm excited to hear that. So I'll go ahead and share a little bit with you. Now, like I mentioned, we are talking about the culture code. Daniel Coyle's The Culture Code, and talking about how to build highly successful teams. And this is going to be especially important as we're getting into this new phase, I think, of the pandemic, where we're really talking about, or we're really experiencing our teams changing in different ways. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of change in our teams. And the whole idea is finding ways in order to adapt to that change and continue to produce awesome and amazing events with the teams that we with the teams that we have. Like I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about how to follow Planners on Purpose. For those of you that are not aware, to follow Planners on Purpose, there are several ways that you can do that. You can join by newsletter. You can follow or subscribe to the page or the channel. So for those of you that are here on YouTube, you can definitely hit that button to subscribe. It's a red button to subscribe. If you are a Facebook person, where you're watching this right now, you have a like button. Go ahead and click on that like button and enable the notifications for the page, and you'll be able to get those notifications as we are going live and as we make any other posts. So you'll be able to stay updated in that. For those of you that really would like to have more of an interactive experience with Planners on Purpose, I would encourage you to join the Planners on Purpose community. It is a group here right on Facebook. Go ahead and join that. I would love to welcome you into the community, give you a big hearty welcome. We have intentional discussions every single day about how you're doing as an individual, what your goals are, and helping everyone cheer towards those goals. So excited to welcome you in if you would like to come on board to the Planners on Purpose community. For Twitter, if you're a Twitter person and you like to tweet, I encourage you to go to Plan on Purpose, Instagram, Planners on Purpose, and Pinterest. Go ahead and do Planners on Purpose for Pinterest too. So now you have all of the areas in which you can connect with Planners on Purpose. So again, I'm excited to be here, and I'm sorry I look a little shiny, and it's all because of probably the lighting. But I hope that doesn't distract you. I hope you're ready to take advantage of everything that we have to share here with this book. So for those of you that are here, I would love it if you could tell me, how are you doing? Where are you from? I would love to be able to connect with you and hear a little bit about where you're from. Please tell me hello, say hello in the comments. Let me know that you're listening. I love to be able to welcome every single one of you that are here. And I don't know if you're here unless you say something. I can't see who is actually listening in on this unless you are actually participating. So definitely go ahead and give me a holler in the chat. Give me an emoji. Give me something to say, hey, Naomi, I'm here. I'm with you. And I'm ready for that discussion. Give me a big hello. Okay. Now, this book, I really read it pretty fast. So, and as you can see, I did do all my little Post-it notes. For those of you that remember me when I was on Planet on a Post-it, that was my brand back then. I am all about my Post-it notes. So every book that I read is all about Post-its and making sure that I'm marking my space as to the areas that I think are exciting and that really resonate with me. And this book had many of those, so I have many Post-its and lots of different highlights as well. You can probably see all my highlights that are in the book. So I typically like to mark up my books. I know some people who are readers, they don't like to mark up their books, but I like to take full advantage of the books that I read. So I definitely mark them up, and I probably even put some notes in the side margins. So I wonder if you are the same way. So let me know if you're a marker, if you mark up your books, or if you just like to keep them nice and clean and as new as possible. Me, I just like to crack them open, get it going, get started. So again, welcome. Say hello in the comments when you come in. I would love to see if you're here. So Christine, I hope I'm saying your name right. Christine Laybourne, welcome. You're from hot Northern California. I heard that you're getting a heat wave in, so definitely shout out to you. Thank you and welcome to the book club. Appreciate you being here. Great. Well, I will get started. I really enjoyed the book, like I mentioned. I thought it was very nice and laid out. I would love to hear what your thoughts are overall about the book, how it was structured. Did the author lose you? Did he really bring you into a lot of what he was trying to communicate? Definitely go ahead and put that in the comments. I would love to be able to talk to those things as you're coming on through. Okay. And this book to me was structured really well. And I do have that to share with you too. So to me, the book was structured well. It had 3 different areas on how to build successful groups. So you had building safety, you had sharing vulnerability, and you had establishing purpose. So those are the 3 areas in which the author broke down the book. 3 sections in the book. Super, super easy. I really enjoyed that. At the end of each area, he gave you different ideas for actioning how to build safety, how to share vulnerability, and how to establish purpose. And I felt that was very, very good to be able to see. So for me, as you may know, our industry definitely is in a position where we're just a little, I feel like a little bit disheveled in our teams. We have a lot of people who have maybe was furloughed from positions. We have people that are coming into the event planning industry. We also have those who decided not to come back to the event industry at all. And so what that does is there's this complex dynamic of teams shifting and reshaping themselves. So I thought that it would be great to talk about this book because of the fact that we could use some of those refreshers to show us how do we build those highly successful groups, what is really important when it comes to developing a really dynamic and awesome culture, and how do you go about doing that. So that's the whole reason for me picking this book and discussing it today. So like we said, there's 3 different areas to do this: building safety, sharing vulnerability, and then also establishing that purpose. Now, if we move on, I wanted to share a quote with you, which is a really cool quote from the author. And it was, Culture is a set of living relationships working toward a shared goal. It's not something you are, it's something you do. This speaks very true to me, especially because most of people feel like culture is just this pie in the sky, this pie in the sky thing. And it really is something that you do. A group, typically you have a specific culture because of what you do in order to obtain that culture. In an organization that I currently work with, there has always been clients saying, oh my gosh, I love your culture. I love what's happening here. And they want to stay hanging out with everyone that is in the organization because they love that culture so much. I know in the book they talked about two different companies, one of them being Google. There was another company that was there and it wasn't really as notable, but it went to show how that culture at Google was just so dynamic. People had a sense of belonging. People were engaging with each other. And that presented this culture that was really unrefutable, as opposed to another organization where people were just put together to solve problems, but they didn't really have a belonging and they didn't really have a sense of purpose. And what that did is it made them say, oh my gosh, this is a big cluster. This is a cluster that we work in. Nobody has directions. Nobody's helping us with what we need to do. And it was really, really challenging for them. So when it comes to having culture, really know that it is something that you do. It's something as an event planner, or if you have a different business, it's something that you do within the culture, within your company that establishes your culture. Okay, great. And then, so I also want to go through, what does build safety actually mean? So this is really, when you go to the book, like I mentioned, there was 3 different sections. The first section was building safety. And most of us are thinking, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to build safety? And so what it means is you have to build a sense of belonging with people. People need to feel like they actually are connected to your organization, to your event planning team, to your company. And when they feel that, then they feel that they're safe. And there are so many tips for building safety, and I'll go to a couple of those in the book. But really maintaining the closeness, getting close and personal with people, making eye contact with everyone, giving them handshakes and fist bumps and hugs, lots of short, energetic exchanges, no long speeches, high levels of mixing where everyone talks to everyone, few interruptions, lots of questions, active listening, humor, and small attentive courtesies like thank yous and opening doors and things like that. All of those things are areas where you can build safety with your teams and with your clients. And so what ends up happening is belonging has 3 basic qualities. It is energy, individualization, and future orientation. And so what that really means is that there's the energy exchange, you leaning in close to whisper something or to share an idea with your colleague, or you basically being attentive to their individual needs, which shows that sense of belonging, and you connecting with your team member or your boss to just have that future orientation, something towards the future that says, I'm here and I'm here for the foreseeable future. Those are all things that help you build up that sense of safety and that sense of belonging. Okay. Now, there are 3 questions. In the book, Daniel Coyle talked about 3 sections or 3 questions when it comes to building safety for your team. So I would like to share those questions with you. Now, those questions are we connected? Are we safe? And do we share a future? Now, when you're looking at building safety for your team, these are the three questions that we should be asking ourselves. Are we connected? Am I connected to my team? Do they know about me? Do I know about them? Do I care about what they're going through in their personal life? Do I care about where they're wanting to track in their professional life? As a leader, regardless if you're a leader of a team or you're a leader of an event or you're a CEO of an organization, you should be asking yourself these questions when it comes to relating to the people that are around you that formulate your team. The second question again, do I feel safe or are we safe? Showing that you're safe by creating those boundaries and by showing them that the information is safe with you, that someone can trust you with a particular subject. Those are things that help build safety. And then do we share a future? And do we share a future is just more looking towards maybe a shared common goal. And those things definitely will help with establishing a great sense of belonging. So those are the areas in which you can build safety. And for those of you that are actually very into this book and you read this book, I would love it if you could let me know how you felt about this area of that particular build safety section of the book. Just let me know what you think. And you can go ahead and put that into the comments. Now I'm looking at my book because I didn't write these all on my PowerPoint the presentation, but I wanted to make sure that I could share them with you. So there are certain ideas for action when it comes to building safety. So for you want to make sure that you're over communicating, that you're listening. So if you're a leader or if you have a team, you have a lot of people on your team that are brand new, over communicate that you're listening. Tilt your head slightly forward. Give nonverbal cues that you're listening, that you want to pay attention to what they're saying. Ask questions to them to get clarity and to get a deeper understanding of what they're talking to you about. Also, share your vulnerabilities or your they call it failabilities early. If I have a failure, if I have a weakness, I'm letting my team know that. I'm letting my team know, hey, sometimes I need your help with remembering certain things that we had on the docket to talk about during our one-on-one. Whatever it is, let them know that you need their help, that you have this weakness, and they are more able to trust you. Make sure that you're previewing your future connection, and make sure that you're always embracing the messenger. Okay. And overdo your thank yous. That's another one. So in this book, there are several different areas. I just named out a couple of them, and definitely pick up this book and read it in the future to grab the rest of them. I want to make sure that there are still a few little nuggets left for you to grab when you read this book. Okay, great. So next is sharing vulnerability. That's where we are next. And sharing the vulnerabilities is mainly like just being vulnerable. And they talk about being vulnerable, or Daniel talks about being vulnerable in a vulnerability loop is what he calls it. So it's sending a sign of vulnerability. And for example, they have a couple of examples here. Like, what was the last pet that you owned? So for those of you that listen now or on the replay, type in, what is the last pet that you owned? Describe the last pet that you owned. What was the type of pet? What was the name of your pet? Put that in the comments. That is an area in which I am asking you to share a vulnerability. Asking you what you felt of this book and what you learned from it is an area of vulnerability. Not many people ask that question about certain things. So When you send out that sign of vulnerability, then others respond in kind. That signal is detected to say, oh, this person is being vulnerable with me. This person wants to tap into a different area of me, other than that that shallow area of me. This person wants to actually connect with me. And when you respond in kind to that person, definitely a new norm is established and there is a closeness and the trust increases. So when you're thinking about your teams, regardless what business you're in, I happen to be in an event planning team, event planning world. So I think about this in an event planning aspect. So it's my event planning teams, it's the teams I lead, it's the business that I'm a part of. And really make sure that you're encouraging that vulnerability with your team. It is so very important for you. And again, if you're watching, definitely go ahead and say hello in the comments. I don't know who you are because I don't get those type of notifications. So definitely just let me know your name and where you're listening from. I'm excited to have you here. So welcome. All right, so these are a couple of examples I pulled because I've seen them in the last week or so. And it's really about empathetic leadership. The book talked about empathetic leadership and how listening and sharing vulnerabilities with your team can turn into just something amazing. And so to the left, there is Meetings and Incentives Worldwide. That's an organization that I work with, and they decided to give one extra day of PTO or paid holiday leave on the Friday before the Labor Day weekend. It was unexpected, but it was really nice, and it showed that the company really was in tune to the stresses that possibly were happening with the pandemic. How many people had been working so very hard, and how exhausted some people probably are even still. But it was a subtle, and it was a really nice way for them to say, hey, we care about your well-being, so we're going to give you this. So I felt like that was a very good example to put up. And then additionally, I saw that Nike closed their offices for a week to give employees a mental health break. Again, how amazing is that? Nike was saying, hey, there's so much that has been going on, regardless if you were furloughed or not, regardless what your situation is. The world is just an uncertain place, and there's so many pressures that are out there right now as opposed to in years past, and we want to give you that mental break. We realize things still need to get done, but we want you to have this break. So I felt like that was just a really exciting way for them to show that empathetic leadership. Great. So now we're getting into establishing a purpose. And after I go through these points again, if you have any feedback on your experience with reading this book, I would encourage you to go ahead and let me know in the comments. So establishing a purpose is like the third area that Daniel Coyle says to be one of the 3 skills to build highly effective teams. And so what you need to do in terms of establishing purpose is to, I'm sorry if you see my little mouse try to get to where it needs to go. So what you need to do is to answer questions. What is this all for? And what are we working toward? And not only just asking those questions, but to repeat them and to reiterate your purpose and to relentlessly seek ways to tell and retell your purpose. So if you're part of an organization and you have a purpose to deliver highly successful events to all of your clients, and that's your purpose, you're repeating that not only to your clients, you're repeating that to your employees, you're repeating that to whoever you are in the mix with in order for them to know what your purpose is. And with your employees, that purpose is filtering down through all of the different roles that people are in. So if you are a VP, yes, the VP also is looking to have those highly successful events. How do they do that? Through the lens of the VP may be different than an event planner, but they are all working towards that same purpose. So when people they're building the safety and they have that vulnerability on their team, and then for the third skill, having purpose, they all then move towards that purpose in a format that's amazing. And that's where they end up being a high performance team. Okay, great. And that's what builds a high performance environment as well. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next. I wanted to share an amazing quote that I saw in the book. It said, "Purpose isn't about tapping into some mystical internal drive, but rather creating simple beacons that focus attention and engagement on the shared goal." So it's not about that we have a shared goal when it comes to purpose, especially when you're working with your teams. And that is what you want to make sure that you're communicating to everyone. So do you know the purpose of your business? And I ask that because it really will help you identify if you need to be more in tune to, let's say, what your business is saying about what your purpose is, or maybe your business doesn't have a purpose. I really highly doubt that they don't have a purpose, but they might not be sharing the purpose as much as they can so that you are tapped into that. So as a person or a planner who's on purpose, definitely bring up that question. What is our purpose? What is our purpose now? Has our purpose changed, seeing where we are now? Those are some really great questions to ask your leadership. And as a leader, it's a great question to answer for your team as you continue to move forward. Okay, so we're all done for the purposes of what my feedback was. I really enjoyed this book. I definitely learned a lot from it, and I had some really great refreshers from this book, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. I would love it if you would answer for me, why do you show up at book club every time you're here? What connects you to book club? Do you enjoy the books? Do you enjoy the experience? I would love to hear that from you. And I would just love to hear any of your book suggestions that you have. It's really tough trying to figure out what everyone possibly wants to read or what is good for the time frame in which we're going through. So if you have a book club suggestion, definitely send me a message or comment right here on this comment, and I would love to be able to consider that for an upcoming book club. All right, and I think that's it. It's short and sweet from me. What really makes this a really dynamic experience is sharing it with all of you. And again, if you are here and you're listening, in our next book clubs, I love to be able to bring you on and have a conversation about the book. That's what makes that book club experience a club. So again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you have any other insights about this book, I would love it if you would go ahead and let me know. And I will definitely talk to you the next time. But I wanted to let you know that October, we will not be having a book club in October. I know typically every month we're having a book club, but we will not be having a book club this October. And for November, we'll be doing a sip and swap. So it's an event that we're going to do. We're going to bring books that we'd like to swap out, and hopefully you'll come to the event and you would get a book that you've never read before from one of the participants. So that registration is going to be happening soon. You'll see more information about that, but that's what's going to be happening for November. So we're kind of taking it down a notch here for the book club for the remainder of the year because of some other really fantastic things that are coming up. But I definitely would love to hear your suggestions as we wind up this season of book club so that we can have a really fantastic new season coming up very soon. So I really appreciate everything that I really appreciate you being here and you sharing that you're here. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the next book club.